Chapter 9. Shu Mountain Secrets and Family Truths. Keven Kung stepped onto the familiar stone path of Shu Mountain, the scent of pine and damp earth rising from the forest floor. The air hummed with a tension he hadn't felt since the last time the earth had trembled beneath their feet. The Shan, her dark hair pulled into a neat chignon, stood by the entrance to the main pavilion, her usual calm replaced by a tightness around her eyes. Beside her, Edris, the young scholar with eyes too old for her face, clutched a scroll tightly to her chest. "Master Kung," the Shan greeted, her voice steady but lacking its usual warmth. "The mountain stirs." Unnaturally. Edris nodded, her knuckles white on the scroll. "The fissures are spreading, Master, from the eastern cliffs down to the lower gardens. And the heat, it's not like the usual geothermal vents." Keven's gaze swept the mountain. Where the path should have been smooth, jagged cracks snaked through the stone, emitting thin tendrils of steam. A low, subterranean groan vibrated through the soles of his boots. He thought of the recent reports from the lower valley's crops withering overnight, animals fleeing the hills. This was no natural tremor. "Report to Elder Jian," Keven said, his voice cutting through the uneasy silence. "Tell him the fissures are linked to the earth veins we've been monitoring. They're destabilizing." The Shan dipped her head. "Already sent. He's preparing the elders." She hesitated, then added, "The Wuyi Pavilion awaits, Master Kung. King Chungsun has been expecting you." Keven felt a familiar weight settle in his chest. The king's presence always carried a quiet gravity, a sense of ancient responsibility that felt heavier than the mountain itself. He turned towards the pavilion, Edris falling into step beside him, her steps quick and anxious. Inside the Wuyi Pavilion, the air was thick with the scent of aged paper and incense. King Chungsun stood before a large map of the mountain's subterranean veins, his back to Keven. He wore a simple, dark robe, the fabric worn soft with age but impeccably clean. His queue, threaded with silver strands, hung straight down his back. "Report," the king said without turning, his voice low and measured. Keven stepped forward, the map reflecting the pale light filtering through the paper screens. "The fissures are progressing faster than predicted, Your Majesty. They've reached the lower aqueducts. The heat signatures suggest magma is breaching closer to the surface than the last survey. I fear the main veins are under direct pressure." The king turned slowly. His gray eyes, sharp as flint, held Keven's gaze. "And the progress on opening the veins? Stable, but the tremors are accelerating the process. We risk uncontrolled release of the Earth's energy. It could fracture the mountain's core." A flicker of concern crossed the king's weathered face, quickly masked. "Then we must accelerate the sealing ritual. The elders are preparing the talismans. You will oversee the final phase with Michael Hao. Ensure no one else is near the active fissures." "Michael Hao?" Keven's voice held a note of surprise. The young scholar was meticulous, but his knowledge of earth magic was still nascent. "His lineage," the king said, a hint of something unreadable in his tone, "gives him unique insight. He has been studying the ancient texts. You will guide him." Keven bowed. "As you command." He turned to leave, but the king's words halted him. "Wait." Keven paused, turning back. "The library," the king said, his gaze drifting towards the towering shelves of the ancient archive. "You will find the Shu Mountain Xian Jian Jai there. It contains records relevant to your inquiries." Keven's breath caught. Relevant to your inquiries. The king knew. The king knew about the questions he'd been asking, the ones he'd buried deep after the dream in the stone maze. He'd been asking Michael Hao, the quiet scholar who'd been his guide since he was a child, about his age, his parents, the strange absence in his memory. Michael Hao always deflected, speaking of the mountain's history, of the need to focus on the present. Now the king was offering him the key. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Keven said, his voice carefully neutral. The king gave a single, slow nod. "Do not linger in the past, Keven. The mountain demands your presence now." Keven left the pavilion, the king's words echoing. He made his way to the library, a vast, dimly lit chamber lined with scrolls and bound texts. The air was thick with dust and the scent of aged paper. He moved past towering shelves, his fingers brushing the spines of forgotten histories. The Shu Mountain Xian Jian was a heavy, leather-bound volume tucked away in a corner, its title written in faded ink. He opened it carefully. The pages were brittle, the ink faded. He scanned the entries, his heart hammering against his ribs. No. Then he found it, tucked between entries on ancient flora and minor earth magic. The wolf demon Scott, formerly of the Crimson Fang clan, attacked the village of Stone Spring, killed the woman known as Britt and her husband, the scholar Michael Hao. The body of Michael Hao was taken by the demon, leaving only the woman's corpse. The child, a boy of 3, was found wandering the woods, unharmed but with no memory of his parents. The boy was taken in by the elder, Nangongji. Kazinda. Britt, Doc. His mother, Doc. Michael Hao Da. His father, the man he'd always called father, was not his true father. The man who'd raised him, who'd taught him swordsmanship and history, was the elder, Nangongji, the man whose face he'd seen in the dream in the dream of the woman named Britt, the woman who had been his mother. A wave of dizziness washed over him. The dream of the 12-year-old girl stitching cloth, the woman who had been his mother, the name Britt, all snapped into place. The scar on his palm, the strange resonance he felt near certain stones, the way Michael Hao flinched when he asked about the past, it all made sense now. He'd been given to the elder, Nangongji, after his parents were killed by the wolf demon Scott. He felt a surge of cold fury. Scott, Dedol, the name from his childhood nightmares, the demon who'd haunted the stories told by the elders. The same Scott who'd been a constant threat to the mountain, a figure of legend. He'd killed his parents. He'd taken his father's body. Master Kung? Keven snapped the book shut, his hands trembling. He turned to see Michael Hao standing in the doorway, his face pale, his eyes wide with concern. You found it. Your father, Keven said, the words tasting like ash. His name was Michael Hao, and he was killed by Scott. Michael Hao's face crumpled. You knew, he whispered, his voice breaking. The elder, he told me to keep it secret, to protect you. He said the truth would only bring danger, that Scott's followers might still seek you. Why? Keven demanded, the anger burning through the shock. Why keep it from me? For years, I asked about my parents, about my age, and you just deflected. I was protecting you. Michael Hao's voice rose, raw with emotion. From the past, from the danger, from him. Scott is still out there, Keven. He could return at any moment, and if he learned you knew the truth, he might come for you. For what he took from you. Keven looked at the man who had been his father for as long as he could remember, the quiet scholar who'd taught him everything, the man who'd lied to him for his entire life. What? You lied to me, Keven said, the words heavy with betrayal. I did it to keep you safe. Michael Hao said, his voice dropping to a whisper. Just like Nangongji did. He took you in, raised you as his own, kept you away from the truth until he deemed it safe. He believed you were better off not knowing. Keven closed his eyes, the weight of the revelation pressing down. The mountain groaned again, a deep, resonant vibration that shook dust from the shelves. The fissures were spreading. The earth was fighting back. Then I will find out the truth, Keven said, his voice steady now, cold. I will find Scott. I will find out why he killed my parents. And I will find out what happened to my father's body. Michael Hao looked at him, his eyes filled with sorrow and fear. The earth veins the fissures, it's dangerous now. The mountain is unstable. We must focus on sealing the veins first. The stone village, it's a risk. After we seal the veins, Keven said, the decision made. After the mountain is safe, we go to Stone Village to find out what happened to my parents, to find my father's body. Michael Hao's shoulders slumped. The elders, they will not understand. The elders don't need to understand. They need the mountain safe, and I need to know. He met Michael Hao's gaze. Agreed? Michael Hao hesitated for a long moment, then gave a single, slow nod. Agreed. As Keven turned to leave the library, he felt the mountain tremble again, more violently this time. A crack split the stone floor near his feet, sending a plume of steam shooting upwards. The fissures were no longer just on the surface. They were reaching deeper. He had to get back to the main work. The sealing ritual. The earth veins. The mountain. But the truth was no longer a secret. It was a fire burning in his chest, a fire that would not be quenched until he found his parents' graves, until he faced the wolf demon who had stolen his past. Outside the library, the air was thick with the smell of hot stone and steam. The lower gardens were now visible from the pavilion steps cracks, snaking through the stone paths, steam rising from the earth like breath from a wounded beast. Keven took a deep breath, the scent of the mountain now mixed with the sharp tang of danger. He would not let the past control him. He would not let Scott control him. He would seal the veins, protect the mountain, and then he would go to Stone Village. He would find out who he was. He would find his parents. The king's words echoed, "Do not linger in the past." But Keven knew he had to go back. He had to face it, because the past was not just history, it was the key to his future. And the mountain, for all its ancient strength, was trembling beneath the weight of the secrets it had kept. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and turn on the bell for updates. More beautiful stories are coming soon on YouTube channel, Many Stories with You.